Hello, welcome to Mrs. Kent's Kitchen. So I think we should make sweet and sour pork because it's amazing. And we won't have to buy it from the Chinese anymore because we can cook our own. We need loads of ingredients, okay? So the downside, we've got some egg noodles because that would be amazing. I've got the love of the co-ops. I've got 2 pork chops. We'll only need 1 for this recipe, so we can double it up if we want to use it all. Okay, and then the sweet and sour sauce is what makes it, and we're going to need a load of ingredients. So I'm really sorry, that's the downside. And this is the only recipe you'll get me to get ketchup in. So we need ketchup, we need corn flour, we need a bit of soy sauce, we need a little bit of just white sugar, bit of vinegar, olive oil, and then for my vegetables, I've got some carrots, an onion and garlic. I've got pineapple in the juice, and I'm going to use the juice in the sauce, and I've got some peppers. So let's get started.
Pause. Yeah.
So the first thing I'm going to do before we start is I'm going to fill a saucepan with cold water, and I'm going to get that on to boil because that's going to be for our noodles, okay? And then we can prepare our vegetables.
Okay.
Right, let's prepare our veg. So just to remind you about preparing garlic, this bit of garlic is massive. So I'm just going to peel away all the skin. Okay, and you remember how to crush it. So put your knife on the side, bang, okay? And then we'll dice it up, making sure we've got good claw grip. There we are. Okay, so I'll just put that to one side. Okay, the onion. We're going to slice our onion. So I'm going to take the end off. Remember, this is the end that looks like your head. We do not chop off our head. So we take the other end off. Okay, now it's nice and secure. We can cut it in half. Okay, now it's much easier to peel our onion to take the skins off. So we do that. This brown bit here, we don't want this bit. You don't need skin. Okay, now slicing. So claw, and we just slice. Okay, so we'll slice these all up.
Yeah.
So I've peeled my carrot. I'm just going to take the ends off, and we're going to cut our carrot into julienne, which means thin strips. I'm going to cut it in half, then I'm going to cut it in half again, okay, and then I'm going to dice down. So if I do it this way, you can see. Okay, so I'm slicing, and now you can turn it on its side and then make this finer. Okay, so then you get lovely thin strips, okay. Gardenier is this size, the sort of battens, and then the julienne is nice matchsticks. So I'll finish this. Right, I've got these random bits of peppers, so I'm going to use these up. And again, I'm going to do it into julienne. So nice thin strips, okay? All of these little bits can be used. Nothing gets wasted. Last bit. Roll that over. Perfect. Now, let's prepare the pork.
Action.
Okay, so I don't have a red board like we do at school, and you don't have a red board at home, but I use these white chopping boards only for raw meat and for raw fish, and I use my lovely wooden one for doing all the veg. So that's why I'm going to use it on here. I'm using the knife because I chopped the veg, so now I can use it on the meat. If it was the other way around, I'd have to wash my knife. Okay, I'm going to keep this lovely bit of fat. This is a really nice bit of pork, and I'm just going to dice it up. Well, I'm going to slice it up, I think. So I'm going to cut it into half, okay, and then I'll have these nice little bite-sized pieces. Okay, so we'll put these in. I've got a new cameraman today, George, so thank you very much, George. So hopefully he'll give me a thumbs up at the end and say that I've done a good job. Okay, there's our pork. And now we're ready to cook. So I've turned my saucepan on. I'm going to use this one because it's lower so you can see, but a saucepan would be absolutely fine. I'm going to put my glug of oil in, okay, and then I'm going to put my pork into the frying pan. You can hear a little sizzle. Now, people worry about cooking meat. I'm going to cook this until it goes white on both sides, and then I'm going to add the veg. Can you see already that you've got a bit of white. Okay, this is where the meat is cooking, and you're basically sealing in the moisture from the meat. So you want it a little bit high, and I'm just going to stir it around, and I reckon this will take about 2 minutes, so we'll come back and see it.
Action.
Right, this is all nice and white, and you can hear it's really sizzling. So I'm going to add my veg. So bring that over. Okay, the meat isn't cooked, but we need to cook it with the veg. So I'm going to add all of this, and then I'm going to turn it down because this is very hot. So I'm going to give it a mix, and then I'm going to turn it down to medium heat. Okay, and we're going to put the lid on this, and this is going to cook for probably, I'd say, about 5 minutes. And while we're waiting for this, we can crack on with our sauce.
Go.
So I've got my pineapple. I'm going to open my pineapple. Ooh, all that lovely juice. I'm going to put in here. And this, I'm just going to break up, can cut up with your knife. Look, I'm just going to use my fingers. Break this up. And then we'll add this a bit later, because it's already cooked, isn't it? We just want to add the pineapple for the sweetness. Okay, now, this is the age-old argument. Okay, a teaspoon is what you stir your tea with. A tablespoon, you can't get it in your mouth. I know, you're going to tell me that you can fit this in your mouth, and I'm going to say to you, that's not polite, okay? So, I've also got measuring ones, so you can use either. I tell you what, I'll use these ones, and then you know. So we're going to do the liquid from the pineapple. We're going to add 2 teaspoons of sugar. I've got my list so I can read it. And then we've got 2 tablespoons. So now I need the big one you can't get in your mouth, of vinegar. So sweet and sour, that is from the pineapple juices, the sweet, and the sour is your vinegar. Okay, then 1 tablespoon of your love of ketchup. Go on a little bit more because I know you love ketchup. Okay, and then a tablespoon of soy sauce. So that's it. So this adds the salty sort of flavour to it. Let's put it all in. There we are. Right, and last but not least, a tablespoon of corn flour. I'm going to have to use a clean spoon, aren't I? Because I can't put a dirty spoon in. Let's see if there's a big enough hole to get that in. Okay, the corn flour is what's going to thicken it. And I've put everything into a jug because the sauce is really easy. We're literally just going to mix it all up. Okay, so now we can just give this a stir and we'll get all these lumps combined. Okay, that looks great. Now while we're waiting for that, we will check on our vegetables. So if we come over and have a look, so that's cooking nicely. I think because it's not sizzling anymore that we need to turn it up a little bit more. Okay, but the carrots are still quite hard and the meat isn't quite cooked. So we're going to leave this a few more minutes and we'll come back, okay? Okay, so we've got our sauce, we've got our noodles, so we need to put those in. We've got our pineapple, and let's look at our veg. So sweating means to cook without colour, okay? So nothing is brown, nothing is burnt, and you've got all that lovely moisture, okay? Now the carrots are a little bit hard still, and if I take a carrot, I can try it, can't I? And I quite like that the stir fry is a little bit crunchy, because I think that's nice. So I'm going to add in my pineapple, and I'm going to add in my sauce, and I'm going to let this cook. Now we've been doing gelatinisation, so this sauce is going to thicken because of the corn flour. So I'm going to leave this to simmer for about 3 or 4 minutes, and that will help just finely cook the meat. So I'll put my lid back on and leave that to cook, and I'm going to put my noodles in because I can see my water boiling. So I'm going to break these in half because it's going to take about 3 or 4 minutes, and I'm going to put this straight into my saucepan. Can you see, Georgie? Can you come round? Look at that. You're a genius cameraman. Okay, I'm going to be careful of my finger so I can just use that. Perfect. 3 or 4 minutes. Let's come. Look how nice this sauce is. If your sauce is a little thick and you think, oh, I want it to be more saucy, just literally add a little bit of water, okay? And then it will be more saucy, so that will be perfect. Now, I know you're going to tell me, how do I know that my meat is cooked? So look, here's a piece of meat. So we know it's firm to the touch, okay? So I think that that's cooked, but what you'll say is, are you sure? So let's come over and have a look. What are we expecting to see in the middle? We're expecting it to be white in the middle and not pink. So look at that, perfectly cooked. So that's absolutely fine, okay? Now, let's plate up. So here are my noodles. So I've literally drained them. How did I know that they were cooked? I tasted a little bit. So, let's plate up some noodles. And let's put some, look at this. Season with a little bit of salt and pepper. If you need to, add a little bit of chilli. Serve with a few prawn crackers. And how's that? So, sweet and sour pork. As good as a Chinese. Enjoy.